Civil War is a new satire and modern-day take American war film from A24. This is the independent production company's most expensive film, going into the big budget territory, costing $50 million. This was written and directed by Alex Garland, who wrote Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Garland is the writer and director behind other projects such as Ex Machina, Annihilation, the FX miniseries called Devs, and Men. The film is about a journey across a dystopian future America, following a team of military-embedded journalists as they race against time to reach DC before rebel factions descend upon the White House. The first thing to talk about is the great use of nuance and detail in the presentation. This gives credit to the subtle tone and monumental cinematography. It is such a well-shot film that everything in the framing, from the horrific and documented moving imagery, is so precise and faithful towards the film's subject matter, making the experience to be fascinating and a terrifying film. The acting from the entire cast was excellent. Kirsten Dunst as the lead role was marvellous. You accept her character as this confident and experienced war photographer journalist who suffers from a lot of PTSD. Dunst's character is a great example of what it's like to be a photographer and journalist in a war, and essentially the dangers and well-being that can affect you for a long period in this line of work. The rest of the cast includes Wagner Moura, Kaylee Spanley, and Stephen McKinley Henderson as the other war photographer journalists who tag along with Kirsten Dunst on the road trip to DC, which, by the way, I found the whole adventure to be full of gripping surprises. They all have likeable chemistry, especially with the quiet, nice, and humorous moments of normality to have a break from the war. In addition to the rest of the cast, Nick Offerman's minor role as the president, Jefferson White, who was in Yellowstone, and Carl Glusman, who both play as soldiers. Plus, Jesse Plemons is a not-so-friendly soldier, who I will be talking about more in detail later in this video. But overall, everyone gives their best in this film. The editing was on point from the timing, when it cuts from scene to scene, going from quiet to loud, and also when one of the journalists takes a photo of something shocking happening, that then cuts out all of the sounds and moving images, only seeing a still image by giving the audience the chance to witness and process the horrific events happening in one picture. I loved the production sets and props. They were shown massively and used appropriately for a film like Civil War. I found most of the pacing to be a good, slow and steady rate, especially when our characters come across unexpected events from locals and soldiers during the road trip. What I found memorable and terrifying from the story's presentation was more from the little moments of conflict and less from the big moments. For example, there is a scene when our journalists come across a few nasty soldiers, one of them played by Jesse Plemons, who is once again given this dry but very unsettling, unpredictable and uncomfortable performance. My point is, it is these little moments that show a lot has already happened from the cause of death and destruction from someone like Jesse Plemons' character that has created this irreversible, consequential aftermath of what the journalists see and what we, the audience, see as well. In the end, I felt more tense in the smaller moments of drama from Alex Garland's intense visual storytelling. When it comes to Civil War's controversy, I thought it was a sensible and smart choice from Garland's direction about how and why we don't know this Civil War kicked off in the first place. From a filmmaking point of view, it is really for you, the audience member, to interpret of what is happening. It is Alex Garland putting the trust into you. But some will feel disappointed by this creative choice. They will feel that it makes no sense and provides nothing. But coming from a less filmmaking point of view and more realistically, if Garland explained to you of why this happened and who kicked off this civil war, I do think there would have been some controversy to it. Just think about that for a second. From what I got out of the themes of the story, I thought was shown very well. It is about a love letter to journalists, PTSD, and more importantly, the terrible consequences of war from the perspectives of photographer war journalists, who wants you to look and think at the pictures being shown to you of why do we do this to each other. Regarding my issues with the film, I thought the final act could have been longer as it was rushed. Another issue would be a major character death scene near the end of the film. Do not worry, I'm not going to spoil. I just felt that it was the wrong choice and that character didn't deserve it. If you have seen Civil War already, then you know which part I'm talking about. For the IMAX release, it is honestly up to you if you want to see it in IMAX or just an average screening. There are moments to enjoy and appreciate from, but at the end of the day, it is not a Christopher Nolan film. So I don't think it will matter of what format you see Civil War in. I myself did go see this in IMAX though. It was the BFI IMAX, which is the biggest screen in the UK, because why not take a trip up to London? In the end, I really liked Civil War. There is a lot to think about and discuss with others, especially in these times. Yes, this film doesn't have a straightforward answer, but it's more about the beauty of interpretation. It is Alex Garland giving his trust into you, the audience. It has a mixture of blockbuster and art house moments that are fascinating and terrifying to watch. Hats off to Alex Garland and A24. Check this one out now in UK cinemas. I'm going to give Civil War 4 stars out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this really intense video. Please let me know your thoughts about the film in the comments below. I appreciate the like, subscribe and support as always. Until next time.